So we're going to take this inequality and we're going to solve it, and then we're going to graph it on a number line. And this inequality has a negative coefficient. And what we mean by that is the number that is in front of our variable is a negative. And when you see that, you should be thinking to yourself, at some point, I'm going to have to divide both sides of this inequality by a negative, in this case, a negative 11. And that means that inequality symbol, which right now is a greater than, is at some point going to flip and become a less than. That's all a negative coefficient means, is in the back of your mind, you need to be thinking at some point I'm going to divide by a negative, and that means flip the inequality. So step one could be to divide by negative 11, but I don't recommend we do that first, because then I'd have to divide the negative 11y, the negative 13, and the 42 all by negative 11. You could do that if you wanted to, but I don't recommend it. I think it's easier to do the addition property first, so that we only have to divide two things by negative 11 instead of three things. And not only do we now only have to divide two things by negative 11, but on the right side we end up with 55, which divides by negative 11 really nicely. Negative 13 and 42 do not divide by negative 11 really nicely, but 55 does. So negative 11y divided by negative 11 is just going to be y. 55 divided by negative 11 is negative 5. And because we are dividing by a negative, our inequality symbol flips from a greater than to a less than. Okay, and now we're going to graph the solution on a number line. So negative 5 is going to go right in the middle, because that's what we got as our main point on our inequality. And so we'll just go down a couple and up a couple. Remember, negatives go the opposite direction. So when we go up a couple, it's negative 4, negative 3. Down a couple is negative 6, negative 7. So our circle is going to go on negative 5, and it's going to be a closed circle, or sorry, an open circle. Whoops. Because it does not have the equal to line. It doesn't have the equal to line, so it's going to be an open circle on negative 5. And less than means all the numbers that are lower than 5. So our arrow is going to cover negative 6, negative 7, and everything else below negative 6 and negative 7. So I'm going to do a real thick arrow there. So our arrow is going to go this way, negative 5, and all the numbers lower than negative 5.